Matthew Ward, January 19, 2013. Dark Forces, Darkness, Dark Ones, Ascension Status, Effect of December Solstice on Earth's Residents, Another Civilization's Ascension, Global Spotlight on Women, Weapons, Traveling through Fourth Density. With loving greetings from all souls at this station, this is Matthew. Pondering and puzzlement are in some lightworkers' thoughts. Here you are almost 3 weeks into your year 2013. Not only has nothing occurred in the way of substantial reforms, but there is talk of another war zone and a deadly hostage situation in Algeria. Random violence continues and the plight of refugees grows. Don't those show that Earth still is in darkness? We thought that our last message covered why your world cannot change as swiftly as some lightworkers had hoped or anticipated. However, the questioning thoughts let us see that in connecting the dots of information in many previous messages, we omitted this dot: the difference between the dark forces, darkness and dark ones. The dark forces, by far the most powerful, is a gigantic force field of negative thought forms that meanders throughout the universe looking for lesser evolved civilizations to enshroud in darkness. Although this vast field has the ability to manifest into whatever individual forms it envisions, it rarely does because its goal is to capture an entire civilization by enshrouding it in darkness. Thus darkness is the dark force's offspring, you could say, and it can be likened to a cloud cover that is so dense that the people feel lost in the miasma. And indeed they are lost insofar as conscious awareness of their beginnings, of their god and goddess selves, and of their inseparable connection with the supreme ruler of this universe and all other life forms herein. The Dark Ones are the individuals in an enshrouded civilization who have a proclivity toward greed, cruelty and lust for power. The low vibrations of those tendencies form cracks in the psyche, and by the universal law of attraction, the cracks permit the entry of the matching negative thought forms that are the makeup of darkness. Henceforth, darkness influences and ultimately controls those individuals' thoughts, intentions and actions. They become puppets of the darkness and carry out the dark force's goal to enslave that civilization through tyranny, fear, deception, corruption and ignorance of truths about their beginnings and creator, multiple lifetimes, the universal laws or the reality of other civilizations. So where are those three dark sources now in relation to Earth? The dark forces started moving away from your solar system after the infusion of light from far distant civilizations saved the life of your homeland planet 70-some years ago. That force field left because light is anathema to its very existence. Just as lighting a candle in a dark room pierces the darkness, so does the energy of love light pierce the energy of whatever darkness is nearby. Even though the dark forces left, its dense cloud of darkness remained on Earth, which the forces futilely had sought to capture for once and for all. Darkness continued to preclude spiritual and conscious awareness in the collective consciousness, and via the law of attraction, Earth's residents kept producing the negativity that almost killed the planet. That changed when the intensive and beaming of light started diffusing the density of the cloud and gave Earth the energy she needed to jar loose from the depths of third density and begin her ascension journey. Only in recent weeks were the last weak remnants of the cloud transmuted into light and the planet triumphantly passed through the doorway of fourth density. So, now that Earth is in that density, how can it be that violence and unjustness still goes on? It is because the location of a planet is one kind of density and soul evolvement status of each of its residents is quite another. Mother, please insert the date of the message that explains the two densities. Opening bracket September 9, 2011 closing bracket. Thank you. For all that it may appear that the long-awaited December 21, 2012 was a fizzle because you saw no profound changes, the profusion of love light that permeated your world during that time was a sight to behold. That energy surge kept brightening the collective consciousness until it looked like the noonday sun, fulfilling Earth's heartfelt desire that at least most of her residents may accompany her along her ascension pathway. Many persons who formerly lacked the light that would enable them to go along with the planet are absorbing enough to do so at least for a while longer. Now we speak again about the Dark Ones. On Earth, they are the individuals who about 10 years ago refused to honor their soul-level agreements to join the light forces after providing the masses the opportunity to complete third density karma. They continue to wreak havoc throughout your world by such means as controlling governments and a global economy, releasing laboratory-designed viruses, manipulating weather and initiating earthquakes, starting wars or reigning over tyrannical regimes. During the inpouring of love light energy, those few individuals who still are among you absorbed little more light than they had, which is only the spark that is their life force. But it was enough extra for their bodies to physically survive in the first wisps of fourth density where Earth is at this moment. If they do not absorb more of the light's brilliance that will keep intensifying along the planet's ascension course, their bodies will not be viable much longer. The majority who benefited from the energy surge are good people who are greatly concerned about world affairs as depicted in your mainstream media and scary disinformation on the internet. They have not yet seen the light, to borrow your expression. They are living in godly ways but still are viewing your world at 3D level mentally and spiritually. Others who still are in the dark in those respects are following authorities' orders. They haven't absorbed enough light to rise above their indoctrination to obey without question. Some have been inculcated with the belief that it is their responsibility to seek revenge for assaults on their ancestors, communities, countries. Then there are those who are conflicted. They realize that what they are doing is against the common welfare, but they depend upon those sources of income to provide for their families. Those various states of mind along with massive environmental damage are the natural aftermath of millennia of darkness as stated in our last message. It remains to be seen how much light the aforementioned persons will be receptive to, what their free will choices will be, and the amount of light will determine how far each will be able to travel with the planet into successively higher vibrations. But please keep in mind what we have stated before. For a variety of reasons known only at soul level in most cases, many light-filled persons will choose to leave Earth rather than continue ascending physically. Now we shall explain why we have often stated that in speed and scope, Earth's ascension out of deep third density is unprecedented in this universe. With the exception of her experience, traversing that density where darkness is so deeply entrenched is an extraordinarily long, arduous trek. We cite another world's experience. Like Earth's ancient peoples, that civilization also descended from a higher density in spiritual and conscious awareness to the brink of planetary destruction due to the onset and continuation of warring. They did not have the aid of our universal family, and successive generations spent almost 50,000 years rising out of deep third density before they reached fourth. It took that long before there was sufficient light in the collective consciousness to lift the civilization and their planet into that higher density. Mother, for readers who would like to know more about that civilization's history, physical appearance, culture, government and so forth, please mention the book with the lengthy message from a representative of its current population. Opening bracket Eshel's chapter in Illuminations for a New Era closing bracket. Thank you. Earth and her life forms have had an unparalleled amount of help ever since ascension started in the late 1930s. It began with the life-saving infusion of light from many powerful civilizations and has continued through the various means of help we have enumerated in previous messages. Only a comparative handful of your populace knows about that assistance, but other accomplishments of the light are indeed evident. As it kept increasing on Earth, more and more of you generated your own light with greater forcefulness, and you light workers have made enormous strides in subduing the effects of darkness by exposing the Dark One's activities. To your great accomplishments that we have heralded previously, we add the global spotlight you are shining on the need to uplift the status of women and to end the proliferation of weapons. These heavily negative aspects of your society that long have been dominant in the collective consciousness now are in the forefront of the public eye. Generation after generation after generation tolerated unjust cultural laws and practices that demean women and accepted perpetual warring and violence as that's just life. Now the voice of your society worldwide is saying stop. Light beings throughout this universe honor the myriad souls who agreed to participate in the multitude of tragic situations that have stirred the peoples to take bold steps forward in those two areas and all others where change so sorely has been needed. The souls who accepted those exceedingly harsh missions did so with unconditional love, and they leapt forward in soul growth. Just as you, we wish that all necessary changes could happen overnight. It will take many negotiators, many discussions and some logjams before all hearts and minds are in accord. The Golden Age master planners knew that you couldn't transform your world any way other than step by step, and at soul level you and everyone else on Earth knows this too. Even with extraterrestrial aid, a third density civilization evolving into a peaceful peoples living in harmony with nature is a transitional process. All along, our messages and answers to readers who question this have been the same: changes will come incrementally. The following excerpt from the June 2, 2007 message recently was emailed to my mother by a new reader who just happened to see this. He also wrote that this information should be in more messages. We shouldn't expect people to remember what is in the old ones. Is 2012 the end of Earth's ascension and completion of all transitional phases into the Golden Age? All darkness will have been transmuted and Earth's and individuals' balance attained, but it is not correct that after the year 2012 everything achieved up to that time will remain unchanged henceforth. Remember, the only constant in the universe is change. Spiritual and intellectual growth and technological progress will continue. You wouldn't want it any other way. Our beloved Earth family, never have we expected you to remember all of the information we have offered. Not only are your days filled with a wide range of responsibilities to think about, but linear time is passing faster and faster. That is why so often we have repeated what is essential for you to know, and it has included that the glories of the Golden Age are not all sitting on its doorstep, and that one day will not differ dramatically from the day before and the day following. To avoid any possibility of misinterpretation, we say that we could have been more exacting about balance attained in that June 2007 message. Although the preceding material was in the context of third density conditions, we could have specified that balance will be attained so that Earth and her residents can ascend out of third density. As microcosms of the universe, which always is in a balancing mode, you too will continue balancing as your spiritual and conscious awareness keeps expanding. What was awaiting you on the doorstep of the Golden Age is the effect of the energy surge during the December solstice that transmuted the last of the darkness into light. This new abundance of light is increasing the momentum in Earth's energy field of potential toward manifestation of marvels. You and your universal family will be co-creating along Earth's journey through fourth density and onto her destination in fifth. We don't know how long it will be before Earth is joyfully back home where the planet in its soul, Gaia, originated. It is logical to ask, since we knew when the planet would exit third density, why don't we know when it will reach its destination? Earth's ascension to this point was predestined so she would reach the narrow celestial window when the planetary alignment would enable her to enter fourth density. Now that she is in this density, where darkness cannot assault her with its negativity, her journey henceforth is within a safe harbor, so to say, where are no time constrictions. Just as before, always. Her residents' journeys depends upon the choices each makes, and the cumulative choices make up the collective consciousness. So, it is your thoughts, passionate feelings and actions that will set Earth's pace from now on. Whether that is happily humming through fourth density or soaring like an eagle, Gaia is jubilant. The exceptionally difficult leg of the ascension is over. You, too, can feel jubilant. Your steadfastness in the light added immeasurably to the stunning achievement. Although in linear time you will continue to progress toward your goal of a loving, harmonious and healthy world with abundance for all, in the continuum you already are victorious. When you have full understanding of how unique this achievement is, you will know that if ever souls could declare job well done, it is you lightworkers. We hold you in honor and unconditional love as we continue accompanying you, albeit unseen, every step of the way. Love and peace. Suzanne Ward. Website The Matthew Books. Welcome to the Matthew Books. Through their soul-level agreement that includes communication by mental telepathy, Matthew Ward, who died in 1980, and his mother Suzanne have produced books on spirituality and metaphysics. Matthew, Tell Me About Heaven describes in detail the soul's transition from earth to heaven and the vibrant life in that realm. Our cosmic beginnings and channeled information from extraterrestrial civilizations are featured in Revelations for a New Era. Illuminations for a New Era, which explains Earth changes and the role of extraterrestrials in our planet's healing and ascension, has timely messages from God. Voices of the Universe shows how we are creating our lives and our world and simultaneously affecting the universe accordingly. Suzanne's telepathic connection with animals opened in 2002, and 7 years later, she published the Musing to Profound My Conversations with Animals. Matthew, Tell Me About Heaven. A first-hand description of the afterlife. Heaven's purpose, location, diverse activities and reunion of souls. Spiritual guides. Channeling communication between heaven and earth. Near-death experience. Animals in heaven. Past lives, reincarnation and karma. Revelations for a New Era. Keys to restoring paradise on earth. Our connection with extraterrestrials assisting in ongoing earth changes. Human origins and evolution. God and Creator. Universal energy attachments and effects. Whales. Human cloning. Composition of the soul. Reptilians. Auras and karma. Mind control. Spiritual response to terrorism. Illuminations for a New Era. Understanding these turbulent times. Messages from God. Healing power of love. Extraterrestrial cooperation during Earth's spiritual ascension and world peace progress. Universal energy in meditation, emotions and beliefs. Chemtrails. Planet X/Nibiru. Vaccinations. Crop circles. Indigo children. The books. Voices of the Universe. Your voice affects the universe, let it be with love. How we affect our world and the universe. Direct communication with God. Significance of synchronicity in our lives. The need for discernment. Politics from God's perspective. The Illuminati. Clarification of ascended masters. Evolution of an ancient civilization. Reptilian commander's message. Nesse thought form transference. And assistance on the planet and from space. Earth's Golden Age. Life Beyond 2012. This book describes some of the civilizations that are helping Earth and us to ascend and forthcoming dynamic changes in our world. Earth's Golden Age. Amusing to Profound. My Conversations with Animals. IN2. My Conversations with Animals, IN2. Suzanne's telepathic connection with animals opened in 2002. The book she wrote 7 years later, Amusing to Profound My Conversations with Animals, shows that animals' intelligence and emotions far exceed what usually is attributed to them. The original book and a sequel that was published by that title, IN2, in 2012, gives even deeper insight into animals' love bonds with their families,